A look at the Giamatti Center in Bristol, Connecticut, as we get set for a elimination game in the Mid-Atlantic Regional as we continue on the road to Williamsport.
Fun is underway here at the Little League World Series. Shortstop, got it!
And he crushes one to right. My goodness.
We got ourselves an unbelievable Little League baseball game.
It's a feeling. It's never gone. It's the reason keeps you coming back again. Saying, summer forever.
There it is. They get it. The perfect season.
And with that, we welcome you to ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series as we are in Bristol, Connecticut for the Mid-Atlantic Regional Tournament, an elimination game featuring Maryland and DC, the winner moving on, the loser's season coming to an end. In terms of the bracket, last night's victory for Pennsylvania propelled them into the semifinals where they await a matchup with Jackson, New Jersey. As for DC, after that loss to New Jersey, now in an elimination game, one team moving on to continue their hopes on the road to Williamsport. Hi, everyone, and welcome alongside Darren Bragg. I'm John Brickley. Glad to have you with us. Darren, you spent 11 years in the majors, had plenty of experience when it came to the postseason in elimination games. In this type of environment, what is the mindset for these players?
Yeah, expect to win, and with that, take the fight to the team. You want to swing first, swing fast, swing often, and be the one to swing last.
So it's a winner-take-all scenario for both of these teams. A winner moving on, the loser season, again, coming to an end. In a situation like this, how do they keep their dream alive and try to advance?
Well, there's keys. Make sure you got to bounce back. Your mentality out there, bounce it back, and then play fundamental baseball. What I mean by that is catch, throw, base running, and then starting pitching. You're only as good as your starting pitching that day, so the manager's going to have to make quick decisions on the starting pitcher.
So Maryland, a team looking to bounce back after their loss last night to Pennsylvania. Quick turnaround for them. DC anxious to get back on the diamond. Coming up, we've got first pitch from Breen Field as the Little League World Series continues here on ESPN. Good crowd on hand at the Giamatti Center, Breen Field in Bristol, Connecticut for this elimination game featuring Thurmont, Maryland and Washington, D.C. as part of ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series as we take a look at the division at a glance, part of this double elimination. And in terms of the regional format, phase number one, we are currently in the double elimination format. Phase two will feature the championship games. And since 2001, Darren, the Giamatti Center has been host to now two regional tournaments, the New England and in the Mid-Atlantic, both opportunities to get bids to Williamsport. But in terms of an elimination game, so much pressure on the line between these two teams.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on the line. And really, the start of the game is important. And starting pitches, sometimes you're only as good as your starting pitching that day. So if the guy's on, you leave him in there and go with him as long as possible. But if he's not on early, the manager's going to have to make a quick decision. And then you start going with Johnny Holstaff and just whoever's getting the job done, you put him out there.
Manager Ricky Davenport Thomas for Washington, D.C., deciding to go with the left-hander in this elimination game. Thomas Burke, whose favorite team is the Boston Bruins. Interestingly enough, the way he spells his last name is after the famous Ray Bork. But Burke will be the starter today for a DC team looking to rebound after their loss in the opening round against New Jersey, falling 16-6 in a game where New Jersey certainly put up a big, important offensive number in terms of an opening statement. Logan Szymanski, the shortstop for Maryland, set to lead things off. Maryland with a quick turnaround yesterday. Due to the rain, both the night games were pushed back. And so now, quickly within 24 hours, they are back on the field for this elimination game. Right back to Burke, and there's quickly one away on the putout.
Yeah, you have to sleep fast, when you stay out all night with the game coming back early the next game. You got to be ready to play, so you got to get to bed early, and I think most of these kids realize that.
And I would imagine over your playing career in Major League Baseball, you had a couple of those quick turnarounds.
Yeah, we had a lot of them, and, it's fun to do, but you definitely have to be ready and get your rest.
Here's the catcher, DJ Shipton. Shipton known to be a quiet, hard worker for Maryland. a team that is making their second appearance in the Mid-Atlantic Regional. However, no team from Thurmont has ever made it to the Little League World Series. That one fouled away to even up the count.
You know, as a lineup today, you're just trying to have really competitive bats, make the starting pitcher work, you know, make him throw strikes. Don't let him off the hook swinging at bad pitches and stuff. Make it be your pitch.
That one missing low, and Shipton able to work the count in his favor, now 2-1. Intriguing approach for batters in an elimination game in terms of patience, because if you want to find the pitch early on, Shipton with the ground ball to short, Basic over the middle and the put out, and there's 2 away. You want to get that pitch, but in terms of an elimination game, if you see that first pitch, you're swinging.
Yeah, you want to be aggressive. Like I said, you want to take the fight to the other team and be aggressive. But early in the game, you know, if there's not guys on base, not guys in scoring positions, you kind of want to, you know, maybe take a couple pitches here and there just to see if he's got his stuff today or not. You know, and then if you realize he has his stuff, then, well, you better turn it up and be aggressive.
A look at Bam Bam, Josh Skoronski, the third baseman, starting today for Maryland with 2 outs. As Burke, impressive, just 8 pitches and already 2 outs. Hot shot to third, unable to handle it is Ronald Hartman. And the base runner is on for Maryland with 2 outs. So the first base hit for Maryland comes off the bat of Skoronski, and that'll bring up the cleanup hitter, the first baseman, Joey McManus.
You know, so here early, you got a little adversity for the starting pitcher. You know, third baseman, maybe made a play he should have made. So now it's his job to pick him up here.
McManus to his teammates, always smiling, Darren, which in a situation like this in an elimination game certainly helps the cause.
Yeah, having fun probably at the end of the day is the most important thing in these games. You know, not trying to think about the pressure. If you just think out there and just try to have fun, usually the rest of it will take care of itself.
Burke behind in the count, 2-0 as that one gets away. For DC, after that loss to New Jersey, a lot of people's heads turned in terms of how good New Jersey can be. We saw that on display yesterday as they are in the semifinals set to face off with Pennsylvania. They've got length, they've got size, they've got power as well.
Yeah, they're running on all cylinders right now. So in these short type of tournaments, you know, you play 4 or 5 games. If you're able to get hot and playing baseball the way you know how, it's easy to run through these things.
Burke dealing with a 2-1 count. 2 outs with a runner on first. And trying to work it inside, missing, and falls behind in the count, 3-1.
You know, we saw it last year with the team from New York. You know, they got hot, never lost, just ran through it to the end.
That one slapped foul. Last 2 years, the Mid-Atlantic has had great success coming out of Bristol. Pennsylvania 2 years ago making it to the championship game, falling to Tokyo, Japan. And as you alluded to, Darren, just last year, Maine Endwell out of New York coming up as the Little League World Series champion. That one swung on and missed by McManus. Foul tipped, actually, and he stays alive.
I mean, nothing could really prepare you for the atmosphere in Williamsport, but this atmosphere in Bristol, you know, they start getting nice crowds. They have, it's a little bit to get them ready for that Williamsport when they get there, so they probably feel a little bit more comfortable when they're there.
Payoff pitch by Burke. That one cut on and missed. Throw down to first, and that will end the inning. So a base hit was all that Maryland could muster up. First time we'll see DC's offense. Coming up on the other side of the break.
I think the first way you could play any sport is to get enjoyment out of it, and you know, I think that you know, with baseball, it's a beautiful picture of life. That it's a great deal of failure in it, but I think it's more of how you respond to that failure. So, you know, whether or not you play high school or you end up being a Hall of Famer, I think it's going to help you further on in your life and you know, your career if it isn't baseball.
Some great words of wisdom by the Nationals' Daniel Murphy as we are in the battle of the Beltway. Maryland and DC in an elimination game. And for Northwest Washington representing DC, here's how they got there. The champs coming out of the District of Columbia, 6-0, winning their last 2 games, Darren, by a run each, and trying to rebound after that tough loss on Sunday, losing by 10 to a New Jersey team that certainly has been on a roll. But if you're DC at this point, what do you got to lose?
Yeah, you have nothing to lose. In those 2 games that they won by 1 run, they were down in both those games. So, I think they feel pretty comfortable. Obviously, you'd like to get a lead and put the pressure on their team. But even if these guys do get down, they've been in this situation before where they've come back and won ball games. So they're feeling pretty confident right now going into this game.
E.J. Lowry, the starter for Maryland. As mentioned, that quick turnaround last night because of the rain that came through the area pushed back both night games. So this has been a quick turnaround for Maryland. As you take a look at the leadoff hitter for DC, Andrew Catron, the first baseman who led off the game back on Sunday with a solo home run. As the bottom half of the first inning underway.
Yeah, with that quick turnaround, you got to give props to the laundry people. I mean, getting these uniforms ready. I mean, people don't realize one of my favorite things about playing baseball, really, and coming to the park was when you got there early and you would see the people in the stands cleaning the stands. You would see the ground crew mowing the lawn. You see them getting the field ready to play. Behind the scenes, I mean, it's something as simple as getting laundry done. You don't really realize it, but hey, there's people up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning making sure these guys' uniforms are ready.
And certainly in this situation, you've got kids who are 12, 13 years old. I don't think there's any issue of them being tired. I bet most of these kids didn't go to bed probably till 1 o'clock in the morning. They were so amped up after the game. And now you have the quick turnaround. It doesn't seem to phase, certainly little leaguers by any means.
Yeah, I think what you said there, that's the toughest part of the quick turnaround is you're so amped up from the ball game, and especially when you play a tight, close ball game, to get the energy to come down and be able to actually get some rest makes it difficult.
So Catron has worked it to a full count to Lowry. And this one sent to straightaway center field. And just like he did on Sunday, Catron leads off with a home run for DC.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I talked about. Take the fight to him. Swing first. And right here, DC swinging first, getting the lead. Wow, real great job of driving the ball to right center field there, staying behind the baseball. Right there behind the baseball. What I mean by that is, as a hitter, you don't really want to come forward. You want to let the ball come to you so you can get your hands out there for some extension. Great job right there.
So for the second straight game for DC, they've gotten the early advantage off the bat of Andrew Catron. They were down 2-0 to New Jersey, and Catron was able to come back with that leadoff home run on Sunday as Elliot Eaton, known as Specs, who was the starter on Sunday, facing off with Lowry and evens up the count at 1-1. So in an elimination game, Darren, like this, what does this do in terms of getting the early lead for the vibe in the locker room?
Yeah, it's it's all confidence, and confidence is contagious. So, you got your leadoff here, probably one of the leaders of the team, driving a ball like that to right center field. It kind of just takes a little bit of pressure off him when you get the lead, and then puts the pressure on the other team to make plays to get that lead back.
Good job by Lowry, able to respond after the home run that he surrendered to Catron, strikes out Eaton, and there is one away as Miles Huff will come to the plate.
Now batting
for DC.
Fielder, number 20, Miles Huff.
Well, great job there too by the pitcher. Lead up, solo shot home runs really don't put games away. Obviously it's a charge, but when you come back, strike out the next hitter, that's big.
Twelfth pitch of the inning for Lowry, as Huff was just able to get a piece of it. Maryland came out strong last night against Pennsylvania, and yet the boys from PA put together an 8-run second inning that told the story in that game. But in terms of these two ball clubs, it's an elimination game, meaning the winner continues on. And unfortunately, whoever loses this game, their season comes to an end. For Maryland, this is how their day began on Monday. as sneaks one in opposite way. That goes for a base hit. Rounding into second and sliding in is and he is on base with a one-out double.
Nice piece of hitting with 2 strikes. Expanded the zone a little bit, got an inside fastball there, was able to fire it off and push it down the right field line.
Now batting.
Nice aggressive base run and getting to second base on there.
There have been countless times, Darren, in this tournament, both for the New England and in the Mid-Atlantic Regional, players have hit it opposite way. How do you fix that if you're a batter?
Well, as long as you're getting hit, you're really not trying to fix it. So, you know, it's funny, you know, when guys don't hit the ball hard and they get hits, they're upset. And I'm looking at them like, why are you upset? That's a hit. Get 3,000 of those, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. But on the other end, you know, when you want to start driving the ball, you just, it comes to, you got to work with your hands and get your hands out in front. And basically, you're trying to beat that pitcher to the contact. He's trying to get it deep on you. You're trying to hit the ball out in front of you.
So Ronald Hartman, the number 4 hitter in the cleanup spot for DC, takes a called strike and falls behind the count 1-2. You wonder if these kids keep track as little leaguers. Okay, that's my 70th hit in my career. As this one back to the pitcher, Lowry checks the runner and gets the out at first, and there are 2 away.
If they're not keeping track, I guarantee you somebody is. And that's actually makes it difficult because so many people know what's going on when you're playing. You can't just play. Sometimes you always get something coming, all these information come from other people.
Sabermetrics, analytics, it's just taken baseball statistics to a whole new level. As the inning continues for DC after Hartman was able to advance the runner to third.
I think the biggest thing Sabermetrics has a problem with is it doesn't have a thing for the heart or your attitude. And a lot of the times in these elimination games, it's all about heart and attitude and who wants it more.
So that'll bring up the left fielder in the number 5 spot, Mariano Frere-Frinity. Here ahead in the count 2-0 with 2 outs in the bottom half of this first inning as Andrew Catron led things off with the home run. And the ground out to second ends the threat for DC. But Andrew Catron in the leadoff spot began the same way Sunday as he did today with a leadoff shot to put DC in front early. We head to the top half of the second inning with Washington, D.C. up 1-0 on Maryland in this Mid-Atlantic Regional Elimination game. And for the boys from Maryland, it's been a quick turnaround after last night's loss to Pennsylvania. But one of the advantages that all the teams that play in the New England and Mid-Atlantic Regional have is they get a chance to go to the ESPN campus down the road here in Bristol, Connecticut, and a chance to go on the Sports Center set, sit in, meet some of the big names, the big personalities around Bristol and at ESPN. And always a fun treat to see all of the teams come through Bristol. And certainly a memory they'll cherish.
Yeah, what a beautiful campus, too. Even I went back there to take a look, and I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And it's just big leagues with everything in there and all the cameras and all the sets. The kids get an idea of really what's going on. And on top of it, when they can meet some big leaguers and stuff like that, it's got to be unbelievable.
So Burke back to work to E.J. Lowry. Great stab at third by Hartman. Throws across. Great defensive play. And the put out by Ronald Hartman at the hot corner. And there is 1 away.
Wow, one of the better plays we've seen. You know, coming with the backhand. Gets the backhand, gets his back foot planted, gets his feet underneath him, and makes a nice, strong throw across the diamond. Great play there. Smiling, all smiles, and it's all about having fun out here. So when you start making plays like that, you start having fun. So when you see kids smiling out here, that's what they're trying to do, just have some fun.
So 1 out as the left fielder, Will Gisrael, making his first plate appearance with the hit by pitch. And so there is a runner on with 1 out for Maryland. And Ricky Davenport-Thomas, the manager for DC, is wanting to have a video replay of this. So in terms of video replay, only applying for Little League on the regional level and at the World Series level. And managers can have unlimited successful challenges. But the key, Darren, is they lose the ability to challenge once they have 2 unsuccessful challenges in the first 6 innings. So as we take a look at this replay, what they're looking at is to see if the ball bounced first before it hit Israel in the foot.
Yeah, it looked like it hit the top of the foot, skipped off it, and base running early in the game, it's important. This is an important play for the coach, and you can understand why. You got a man on first or not, so we'll probably be seeing a lot of these challenges early.
And give credit to the replay officials here, because in terms of Major League Baseball, it could take a countless amount of time to figure out whether or not the play stands, is overturned, where in these situations, normally within a 2-minute span, we know an answer and play will continue.
Yeah, that's nice. The key is you always want to get the call right. So you don't want any kind of game depending on a bad call or a call that wasn't right. So great view right there with the camera, so we'll see what happens.
So another look at it again, whether or not the ball bounced before it hit Israel in the foot. But DC thus far, with Andrew Catron's leadoff home run with the 1-0 advantage.
Yeah, that's a great angle right there. It's hard to tell if it skipped across the top before it hit the ground of the foot. It might have skipped across the top, then hit the ground. So it's going to be a tough call here for these guys.
Again, the call on the field is that Israel was hit by the pitch, and the zoom-in angle that we see here, whether or not it hit just the back portion of the front foot of Israel, or did it bounce and hit dirt first. Anthony Buzzell, our home plate umpire. And it actually hit the dirt first, so the call overturned as Israel is going to have to return to the batter's box. And a nice job. Take a little extra time, figure it out, make sure it's the right call. And a nice job by all parties involved to get the call right.
Yes, get it right.
Israel steps into the batter's box with a 1-0 count and 1 out in the top half of the second. Now going back, Darren, to your playoff days over your career, 3 games that you faced in elimination. With Boston, and then a couple games as well with Atlanta. What's the vibe and what's the feeling like heading into an elimination game?
Everything says normal. You want to stick with your routines. You want to try to stay relaxed, not think about what's going on. Like I said, you expect to win, so when you show up on the field, you're expecting to win. The toughest thing about those elimination games, obviously, is if you do lose them, you're sitting in the clubhouse and you're wondering yourself, what just happened there? Because you showed up expecting to win, so you didn't prepare to lose. So I think most of these kids out here are expecting to win and not even thinking about losing.
Yeah, you were part of that 2003 Atlanta team that knocked off the Cubs in the divisional series, advancing that year. You also ran into that tough Indians team in '98 when you remember the Red Sox as well. So Israel gets on with a 1-out walk. And that'll bring up Braden Manning, the second baseman for Maryland. Yeah, in terms of having that short-term memory.
Yeah, any kind of mistake you made the day before, and the reason why you're in an elimination game is usually because you lost a couple games to get there. So you really have to have that cornerback mentality of, okay, I got beat, but let's move on.
Manning to second, and the double play unable to be converted. They do get the force out at second as there are 2 away. And so Manning able to reach base on the fielder's choice.
Yeah, nice job right there, getting in front, little pivot, getting the lead runner, important.
Now batting the center fielder, number 77, Peyton Castello.
Peyton Castello, the center fielder, number 77 for Maryland, now steps in with 2 outs. The one factor to keep in mind in a game like this, an elimination game, is the pitch count of eligibility for both teams. Because if you do have your starter on point and cruising, do you keep him in, or do you have to try to save him potentially for that next game? But again, it is an elimination game. So we have talked about this throughout the tournament. It really is managing a game within a game.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the managers know their staffs better than I do and who they have ready to come in next. But I feel like if your starting pitcher is having success and he's in the flow of the game, he's got the rhythm going, you keep him out there as long as you can.
85 pitches is the max for any pitcher. With 66 or more, then you have 4 days of calendar rest. But you can finish the at-bat, which will not affect the threshold.
Yeah, and one thing, just looking at Bork pitch here, it's relatively coming easy for him. It doesn't look like he's training. It doesn't look like he's stressing out there. Nice, easy delivery.
Misses on the inside pitch to Castillo, and so there are 2 on with 2 outs, and the 30 pitches thrown for Burke, 15 balls, 15 strikes, so he's evened it out.
You know, and I think what we see in these games here are the big innings, you know, the teams that score 5, 6, 7 runs in an inning. You know, that's what you're trying to avoid right here. So you have a situation here with a couple guys on base, but you have 2 outs, so you're 1 pitch out, 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning.
Connor Crum, the number 9 hitter, the right fielder, swung on and missed. In these elimination games, Darren, I think you would agree, you have runners on base, you have to take advantage.
Yeah, the 2 out hits and 2 out RBIs that extend those innings, you know, to allow yourself to maybe put up a 3, 4, 5 spot. Because when you start putting up some big numbers in 1 inning, you know, then the game can technically get out of reach. So these 2 out hits, if you can get them, are huge.
And a lot of the times, it's the 2 out hits that are the deciding factors in these elimination games. Burke ahead in the count, 0-2 to Crum. To second, Rogers plays it on his own, and the force out at second ends the threat for Maryland. So Burke able to get out of the jam thanks to some defensive effort behind him by second baseman Colin Rogers. And DC up 1-0 midway through the second. The Little League Grow the Game Grant Initiative has distributed over $2 million at the local level. Grant funding provides local Little Leagues resources for general improvement and to expand or establish softball, challenger division, and urban initiative programs. For more information, visit littleleague.org/grow the game. John Brickley, Darren Bragg back with you. Bristol, Connecticut at the Giamatti Center, an elimination game in a battle of the Beltway between Maryland and DC. As Washington, D.C. with the 1-0 advantage with the shortstop, Clark Mazek, starting things off here to begin the bottom half of the second. Clark's hobby fishing at age 13. That one missing low. We were talking about this in between innings. You always expect the big name players to make the impact in an elimination game, and more likely than not, it's that guy that's not on the radar that makes the biggest impact.
Yeah, it's that guy, because most of the time going into these games, you know, you're going to look at a lineup and you're going to say, okay, this guy's hot, this guy's hot, and those are the guys that have been getting all the press coming into the game. But those are the guys you try not to let beat you. So then you know what ends up beating you are the guys that you don't expect.
Bowery up to 26 pitches. Mazek able to work it to a full count. Grounder back to Lowry, off his leg, and that's going to be an infield single for Mazek to lead the bottom half of the second for DC.
Yeah, tough play on the pitcher. I mean, they're so close to that hitter right here. To be able to get into a fielding position after releasing the ball, it takes a lot of practice. So, you know, that's just called PFP, but it's so close, it's so difficult. So, tough play by the pitcher.
Speaking of pitchers, Ken Bailey, we saw him in a relief appearance in the opening round Sunday. The number 7 hitter for DC. Bailey, who wants to be president, well, he'll never have to leave D.C. if he wants that job. It's funny, we were talking about places we've wanted to travel. I know you had said yesterday that there was the potential that you would want to go to Alaska one time. I've actually never been to D.C.
You didn't take that typical 8th grade class trip to D.C.?
No, I've never been to D.C.
Wow. I thought that was a mandatory class trip.
And I'm big into politics. I've never been able to go down to D.C.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel I contribute a lot to D.C.
I mean, you're going to have
when I see my paycheck every 2 weeks.
You're going to have to get there, true American to be there.
True. A true American to be there. So Bailey again, just like Masek before him, able to work it to a full count. As the payoff pitch by Lowry. Missing high and tight. And the first 2 runners on for DC. And it's funny too, Darren, because there have been places that I never thought I would go that I've ended up either traveling for work or traveling for leisure. And yet I've never been to DC. So by this time next year, I will have photos, memories, and stories to tell you about my trip to DC.
I'll be looking forward to that. The question is, like, what's a place that you went to that you didn't expect you would like that you liked?
I never thought I would go to Jackson, Mississippi. Never thought that. Did that for college football. That was one place never thought I would go. So Lowry falling behind in the count to his counterpart in Burke. 2-0. I still find it interesting that the way Burke spells his last name, as he is a fan of the Bruins and Ray Bork. I mean, there can honestly be some confusion there. But I just find the irony in the fact that he spells it the same way as Ray Bork, but he pronounces it Burke.
Right, and he's wearing number 34. It's 77.
Right, there you go.
Would be a little nice.
It's Bork's number. I didn't know you were a hockey enthusiast.
Well, Ray Bork, come on. I mean, you don't have to be
when
a
you're
hockey
playing games in
enthusiast.
Boston,
Yes.
yeah, I can understand why. 2-2 pitch. Missing for Lowry, and the control issues evident here in this second inning for the Maryland starter.
Yeah, he had the easy first inning, you know, besides that leadoff home run. After that comeback ball, the PFP that bounced off him, walked the guy. So he's put himself in a little situation here. He's got to battle out. Striking out that hitter is a nice start.
Yeah, the second strikeout for Lowry in his outing today. 39 pitches total, 21 of which have been called for strikes. And the first mound visit that we see by Tim Costello, the manager for Maryland.
Hey, someone pick Joe up, get his regular glove.
Logan,
okay.
Logan.
Here, I got you. All right, go to first. No, go to third. Josh, go to first. Okay. You go to third. Josh, go to first. Okay. Get him. Have fun, bud. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so after the strikeout by Lowry, McManus is going to be the new pitcher for Maryland when we come back, as DC threatening with a 1-run lead. As Darren Bragg and the rest of our hardworking ESPN crew still try to come to grips with the fact that I've never been to DC. Let's take a look at the division at a glance for this Mid-Atlantic Regional Tournament. 6 teams in a modified double elimination game. 6-inning game with the 2/3 conventional field size here at Breen Field, with a minimum mandatory play rule installed, as well as Joey McManus will be the new pitcher taking over for E.J. Lowry. As Lowry moves to third, Skowronski will now head over to first base. And an interesting strategy put together by manager Tim Costello, taking out your starter down 1-0 with runners at first and second.
Yeah, he's obviously had a game plan on what he's going to do, but you have to give these kids a ton of credit. I mean, here's a kid coming into a situation, probably the biggest game he's ever played into, comes in with guys on first and second, and expected to get an out and do the job. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. Most of the times you like these pitchers to start off in a clean inning, but this kid's coming right into the fire.
Rogers fouled that one off little bit gingerly as he walks back to the batter's box. A couple of nice defensive outs we saw by Rogers in the top half of this inning. And behind in the count, 1-2.
Yeah, that up the middle defense, probably the most important part of your team. That catcher, short, second, and center field. You want guys there that can catch the ball.
This one looped into shallow center field. On hand to make the catch is Costello. And a nice hold by the runners for DC. Still 2 on with 2 outs, but a nice job in center field by the coach's son, Peyton Costello, to retire Rogers. And it's back to the top of the lineup for DC. Catron, who led this game off with a home run. Second time in this tournament he has done that.
Number 44, Andrew Catron.
Numbers Sunday versus New Jersey, 2 for 3 with that leadoff home run. As Washington, we talked about taking advantage of the opportunities when it comes to runners in scoring position. To this point, 0 for 4 in that category.
Yeah, and so you're going to look back on that if you end up losing the game, as if we got a big hit here and there. But nice job of getting out of this inning.
Catron, the ground out to Szymanski short. And so DC unable to convert with the threat. Still up 1-0 at the end of 2.
I will tell them, like, baseball is fun game, you know, competing, you know, and it's team game, you know. It's nothing more fun than 9 guys of the 25 guys pulling together for the same goal, you know, for the championship.
The Orioles, Jonathan Scope, part of a long list of players that have had great success as little leaguers, and that is translated into the majors now with the Orioles, part of that 2004 team for Curacao that won it all. And Scope, just like we heard from Daniel Murphy earlier, part of that Beltway series between the Nationals and the Orioles, like we're seeing today, Darren, with Maryland and DC. Plenty of words of wisdom, if you're a little leaguer, to take from those players now in the majors.
Yeah, I love those little pieces, and the thing I get the most is, I hear time and time again, is about having fun playing and having fun competing. I mean, those are the 2 big things, so you have to have fun playing this game to be successful.
Szymanski, who had the final out to end the bottom of the second, leading things off here in the beginning of the third. Any given Sunday, his favorite movie, and I'll say this about Maryland. There's a lot of fight in this team. To come back after what happened last night against Pennsylvania, losing 10-5 as Szymanski with the ground ball through into left for a base hit, says a lot about the character of this team. Because when you lose in that fashion, after giving up 8 runs in the second, and then less than 15 hours later you're back on the field and competing once again, says a lot.
Yeah, it says a lot about the team. It says a lot about the coaches who are responsible for this team. Because the biggest thing in this game, like you hear in these things, is it's about failure. It's about getting knocked down, but it's about how you respond to those failures and getting knocked down.
Going small ball is Maryland. DJ Shipton with the bunt, safe at first, and a nice heads-up base running play as well on the advancement to third by Szymanski. And all of a sudden, this top of the third is going Maryland's way here, Darren, with runners at the corners.
Yeah, playing a little small ball. Nice bunt where he got it down the third baseline. He got the bunt down the third baseline, made the third baseman vacate his bag. Now, as a shortstop, you got to be paying attention here. And the base runner, he was paying attention, saw no one there. The shortstop ended up spectating. And a lot of times when kids are playing this game, we're here spectating. The people in the crowds are spectating. But if you're on the field watching the play, you're probably not doing your job. And his job there was to get to third base.
So for the second time today, manager Ricky Davenport-Thomas wants to challenge that last call by video replay. And the call the first time was overturned, so successful challenge thus far for Washington, D.C. as Hartman's throw to first. Did Catron get the foot on the bag in time? Now, if the play stands, it would be a sacrifice bunt and an E5. But that's what they're looking at. Again, they're very quick, our Little League officials here in Bristol, of making the quick turnaround, being decisive on the call within a span of 2 minutes. The call on the field was safe. And if that is the case, Maryland would have runners at the corners with nobody out, trailing 1-0. Now, the only argument I would have in situations like this, Darren, is according to the rules, you have unlimited amount of challenges as long as they are successful challenges. If you're Little League, at maybe some point, you cap it off with just 2 challenges.
Yeah,
like they do in the NFL.
It makes sense because, you know, with the unlimited, if you're right, you're just going to keep going until you're wrong. So you might challenge plays that really don't need to be challenged, but if you have them in your bag, you're going to challenge. You know, if you start limiting it to it, you know, it might keep them from challenging certain plays.
So again, looking at it from our vantage point, Catron trying to get that foot on the bag, and we will get the official ruling now from home plate umpire Anthony Buzzle. And he is out at first.
Now, on the flip side, these coaches are taking advantage. The rules are what they are, and if they can do unlimited challenges, you better believe in a big game like this, they're going to do it.
So sacrifice bunt that moves Szymanski over to third base. So Shipton, almost like a win-win situation. Obviously, you'd like to have that extra base runner on first, but yet you do advance the runner now to third with a chance to tie this up with 1 out as Wronski comes up to the bat.
You saw him playing a little small ball there, just trying to get that first run on the board. Sometimes that first run takes a little bit of pressure off you, and then you start snowballing. So they're just trying to get that first run on the board, tie this game up.
I know our colleague Mark Teixeira would love that stat. The only switch hitter in the Mid-Atlantic. Goronski checks his swing, evens up the count. Check that 0-2 with 1 out. Burke delivers his 39th pitch. Breaking ball in there for called third strike, and there are 2 away on a nice piece of pitching put together by Thomas Burke.
Number 21, Joe McManus.
Lefty on lefty, got that breaking ball to catch the inside corner of that plate. Nice pitch.
So Joey McManus, the first baseman who struck out in his first plate appearance. First pitch strike to him with 2 outs and the runner at third. McManus taking over for Lowry in a relief role. Tried to check his swing, went around to McManus. And now he falls behind the count 0-2. If you're Maryland in a situation where you have the tying run at third base, how important, Darren, is it in this type of situation to capitalize?
Yeah, especially early. You know, you had a couple situations with guys in scoring position. They didn't capitalize. So, you know, you kind of want to turn that kind of momentum around.
0-2 pitch as McManus fouls that one to the backstop. 8 straight strikes that has been thrown by the left-hander, Thomas Burke.
And he's mixing it up well. He's going with his breaking ball, and he's throwing that inside fastball right there. Got him to swing at a breaking ball in the pitch before that.
43rd pitch, swung on. And the throw down to first. And a little bit of confusion, as we will see, as that one goes to the back of McManus as he was trying to beat out the throw. And it will be a strikeout. As the run should count to tie this one up at 1. So McManus looks to be okay as he gets back up on his feet. And let's take another look at this, Darren, as how this play developed.
Yeah, anytime you strike out with the first base open, you got to run to first base and they got to make a throw. The call they made is that he wasn't, they got that 40-foot line. Halfway down the baseline, you got an extra box. The runner technically has to be in that box. If he gets hit by that ball and is outside that box, they're going to rule him out. And it looks like that's what happened.
So you see manager Tim Costello making his point to home plate umpire Anthony Bazell. And another look at this one as McManus did not see, obviously, the throw coming, but a possible running lane violation is what they're discussing at this point. But again, the run should count to tie this one up at 1. Unless, of course, the violation is ruled. And now the crew will huddle and see what the decision will be. So this could be a critical junction in this game, the top half of the third, to figure out what the call is.
Yeah, halfway down that first baseline, you can see there's an extra box. You know, on a 90-foot baseline, it's 45 feet. So with these baselines, it's probably 30 feet. So as a base runner, if there's a play made at first, you have to be in that box. If the ball hits you and you're outside that box, they can rule you out.
So now Anthony Buzzell's going to go back to Costello. And they're going to call McManus out, which I believe is the right call. And that will end the inning. So DC with a 1-0 advantage midway through the third as we take one more look at this one.
So you see he's to the left of that box right there. And when the ball hits him, he's not in that box. And it's always been a difficult call and a difficult play for me as a player, because I would always say, oh wait, when I get to the bag, I all of a sudden got to get to my right. But you know, most of the time it's there for the balls in play. That was a different situation because the ball's coming from foul territory.
So McManus strikes out to end the inning as we're midway through the third from Bristol in this elimination game with DC up 1-0. John Brickley, Darren Bragg with you, the Giamatti Center in Bristol, Connecticut, Breen Field, setting the stage for this elimination game in the Mid-Atlantic Regional as DC with a 1-0 lead as Elliot Eaton to begin things off in the bottom half of this third. And follows that one away. We've seen now a couple of situations where there have been not what I would say lengthy delays, but certainly delays that break up the momentum for either team. And that just last inning, McManus called out on the strikeout. The run did not score from third, so it's a 1-0 lead for DC. But in those situations, again, getting the call right is the most important thing. But if you're a player, I imagine that these constant distractions and interruptions can mess with the psyche of a player.
Yeah, it gets difficult. I mean, the whole thing about playing a game, especially a great game going on right now, is there's a flow to it. And you want to keep that flow going. And especially as a starting pitcher, you know, you want to get the ball, get on the mound, and go. You don't want to be sitting around with these delays.
Eaton falling behind the count 1-2 to McManus. Second pitcher now used for Maryland. Stays alive as DC fell in the opening round to New Jersey. And in terms of New Jersey, you talk about a team that's put up 9+ runs in back-to-back games in the semifinals to take on Pennsylvania. You ask anybody around the Giamatti Center, it just seems that New Jersey is on a different level than the rest of the teams in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, they're running on all cylinders right now. The only team that I think that might give them a little bit of a fight is that Fairfield team, you know, from Connecticut. With that starting pitching they got the other day and a couple big hits, you know, they have a chance maybe.
Well, the last two teams to represent the Mid-Atlantic in the Little League World Series in Williamsport have gone on to the championship game, with Maine Endwell last year winning it all as Eaton goes down on strikeouts. Mentioned the dominance that we've seen from New Jersey thus far, 2-0 to begin this tournament. Pennsylvania began with a 4-3 victory last night, defeating Maryland by a 10-5 score thanks to that 8-run second inning. As Mark Brown and Dave Belisle will have the call Wednesday in the 1 o'clock hour. And if you're Holbrook, you've got some home run power that you can display. We saw that yesterday. A couple of 2-run shots, a 3-run home run from Chris Kartnick. A tough out in this Mid-Atlantic region. 0-2 pitch to Miles Huh. Able to send that out foul and stay alive with 1 out in this 3rd inning. Dream job for him to be the Yankees skipper. I think Joe Girardi would have something to say about that.
Everybody wants that job.
And the punch out of Huh, and there's 2 away. And McManus able to cruise thus far. With back-to-back strikeouts. Speaking of dream jobs, we talked about Huh with the Yankees manager position up for grabs. I think Mike Rizzo, the Nationals GM, might want to continue trying to bolster up the team because he's got Alpha and Cooper Smith, a couple of guys that would love to be the Nationals GM.
You got some smart players there. You're the GM, and then you can be the player GM, so you can play, put yourself in the lineup, be a big league player, and a GM at the same time.
Probably save the team some money as well. Probably try to re-sign Bryce Harper. Hartman now with 2 outs. Grounded back to the pitcher, his first time out in the 1st inning. And the count 2-0 goes opposite way as he's able to get on with an infield single. So DC looking for some momentum here with 2 outs on the infield single by Hartman.
Yeah, hot shot down the first base line. It's a term I like to call a little range limiter. These guys hit the ball so hard, sometimes you don't even have time to make a play on it.
So DC going with a pinch hitter in this situation, as it'll be number 8, Caleb Grimm, with 1 out, or check that, 2 outs with a runner on first. And missing Hyde is McManus. Sends that one foul. Overcast skies today. The weather was an issue yesterday with both night games having to be pushed back. Talking with league officials prior to the game, Darren, some of these guys didn't leave till 12:45 in the morning. Grounder back to McManus, easy play for the pitcher, and the put out of Grimm ends the threat for DC. 1-0 at the end of 3 at the Giamatti Center in Bristol. Back at the Giamatti Center in Bristol as ESPN continues its coverage of the Little League World Series on the road to Williamsport. In terms of the Mid-Atlantic Regional, one team will come out of here to represent the Mid-Atlantic in Williamsport. New Jersey and Pennsylvania in the winner's bracket. That game slated for the 1 o'clock hour on Wednesday. As for Maryland and DC, along with Delaware and New York, both are elimination games. So one team season will come to an end while another keeps that hopes alive, Darren, of trying to get to Williamsport to represent the Mid-Atlantic. And as we have seen, New Jersey, along with Pennsylvania, has put themselves in the upper tier of this region compared to these other teams that are battling it out with one another.
Yeah, and whoever wins this game, they're going to have a tough matchup playing one of those 2 teams.
So a couple of defensive changes now for Washington, as Alpha will be at second. Caleb Grimm will be now in left field. And Thomas Luck will now be in right field for DC. Burke back to work his last inning through 10 pitches. The last 9 were strikes. So pinpoint control for the southpaw. As E.J. Lowry in his second plate appearance. Interestingly enough, his father played Little League with the head coach at Penn State, James Franklin.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that these kids, you know, winning or losing at the end of the day, I think years from now you don't really remember that. What you remember is the relationships you've built with your teammates, and those last a lifetime.
Cut on and missed by Lowry, falls behind in the count 1-2. Had that hot shot to third back in the second inning. As Burke, his 47th pitch, this one looped to right. Backtracking and making the play is Luck, and there is one away. The pitcher's duel between Burke and Lowry early on. Lowry taken out for McManus, but a 1-0 score. Andrew Catron's leadoff home run, the difference so far for Washington. Israel in his second plate appearance. Breaking ball in there for a called strike. As the sun starting to peek its way through, Darren. You and I lucked out yesterday. We got our first 2 games in. I felt bad for Brownie and Belial and the rest of the crew that had to wait almost 3 hours for the game to start.
Yeah, we didn't get wet till we walked out to our cars, and then we were dry right away. But it's been an impressive performance by this pitcher right here. You know, just how easy it looks for him right now, mixing it up, throwing strikes, and the guys behind him making the plays.
Pitch number 50 for Burke. Heading the count 0-2 as Israel battling at the plate, fouls that one away. Now, let's be honest. I had to walk to my car. You had a car service pick you up. You had that stretch limo waiting for you.
I think it was Uber.
Oh, Uber.
No stretch limo.
You used to drive in style, though.
Yeah, there was times I'd show up at the field with a limo. Most of the time, when I liked the starting pitcher, I'd send a limo to his house and made sure he got to the field.
Masek could not handle the grounder, and that allows for the runner to get into second, sliding in. And with 1 out, Maryland a chance to tie this one up with Israel in scoring position. And that one was a hot shot.
Yeah, he hit the ball hard, and a nice job of base running. Because what we try to tell the kids is like, look, you're always thinking a base ahead, so you run hard, and what you're actually hoping for is a misplay like that. Take advantage of it on second base and scoring position now.
All right, you're at 2 days. We're gonna stop you here. That's a fantastic job. That's a fantastic job. It is. Okay, you go here. Jack, come on. That's a fantastic job. I got you, man. We got more games this week. We're trying. Hey, let's go. Get in the ball. Thank you. Good job. Hey. Come on.
You gotta love Ricky Davenport Thomas, one of the great personalities here in the Mid-Atlantic, making the pitching change as Burke allowing just 3 hits in his outing today. Pitching change. We're back to the Giamatti Center in a moment. Andrew Catron, the new pitcher for DC, as the day is over for Burke and for the pitching threshold that he has reached. It'll be 2 days of rest for him as Jack Saig now moves over to first base. Catron has mentioned the new pitcher. And it's all part of managing a game within a game. What you heard right before the break, Ricky Davenport Thomas saying, fantastic job, fantastic job. And you certainly can say that about what Burke was able to do in his outing, just limiting Maryland to 3 hits.
Yeah, and also he said, you know, we're playing more games here, so he expects to win. So that portrays to the team they expect to win. So when he takes them out, he's like, look, this isn't your last game. You're going to be back out here in 2 days. So great job. Let's hand it over to the next guy.
Braden Manning, the second baseman who reached on a fielder's choice his first time up. A wild pitch that advances the runner, Israel now to third. And check that. The pinch hitter, Griffin Hoovel, in place of Manning. So a 1-1 count with 1 out here in the top of the 4th. Israel who reached the base hit and then advanced to second on the error. I think, Darren, you would agree in these situations, base running is incredibly crucial in an elimination game like this.
Yeah, it's incredibly crucial all the time, but especially in these games.
Nice basket catch in right by Luck. And there are 2 away. That's a big out to come in if you're Catron, and to have a defensive effort like Luck And you, as a former outfielder, certainly can appreciate this.
Yeah, nice job getting down there and actually staying on his feet, too, because realizing that there was a man on third, you saw him right away with the awareness looking at that base runner. So nice job staying on his feet, keeping that base runner from tagging up.
So the tying run at third as Castello, the center fielder who walked in his first plate appearance. A chance this to tie up with 2 outs. Now went in there for a called strike to even up the count at 1-1.
You know, another situation here. 2 outs, guys in scoring position. They haven't been able to get that big hit today. Still looking for that big hit to get that first run on the board.
Maryland 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. In a situation like this, if you're a batter with a tying run at third, how selective and patient do you have to be at the plate?
Yeah, your game plan would be, I'm going to get a pitch I can handle. If it's not a pitch I can handle, I'm going to let it go, even if it is a strike. Then if you get to a 2-strike situation, you got to expand the zone. But right now, he's 3-1. He can kind of sit back, get that one pitch he's looking for, and put a good swing on it.
Castello, who would love to meet Nationals manager Dusty Baker, ahead in the count 3-1. And now a full count as Catron able to battle back.
And that's perfect. You know, he got himself in a 3-1 situation, got a pitch he thought he can handle. He didn't handle it there, but he put a great swing on it.
The payoff pitch swung on and connected to left over the left fielder. That's going to bring home the tying run for Maryland. And a nice job of hitting Castillo with a 2-out game-tying RBI double. And we are starting over in Bristol, tied up at 1.
Great job as a left-handed hitter, staying on top of that fastball, driving it to left field. Got a high fastball, stayed on top of it. Look at him. Give us a little smile.
And Braden Bell now will be the pinch hitter with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. So the first time Washington has given up a run so far. Grounder to third. Easy play for the third baseman, Hartman. That ends the inning. Not before the game-tying RBI double from Peyton Castello. We are midway through the 4th in this elimination game, tied up at 1.
It's a feeling like it's never gonna end. It's the reason keeps you coming back again, saying summer forever. Keep it going, summer forever.
All the great sights and sounds from Williamsport. Once again, the host of this year's Little League World Series, and coverage on a number of platforms over on ESPN, ABC as well, and on the Watch ESPN app. And as we decide who comes out of the Mid-Atlantic region, already a number of tickets have been punched to Williamsport, including Tokyo to represent Japan once again. Australia will send Sydney to Williamsport, and it just shows, Darren, the intensity picking up, the excitement, and the road to Williamsport once again continuing.
Yeah, and I love it that it's a world game, you know, so everybody's involved, everybody's into it.
And Tokyo, Japan, just 2 years ago, defeating Pennsylvania in the championship game. Last year we saw the great story, the perfect season by Maine Endwell out of New York. Captivate the audience as well all around the world as Will Coopersmith pinch hitting for DC. Grounder to second. Bell with the easy put out of Coopersmith, and there's one away. So DC electing to take out their starter, Thomas Burke, after limiting Maryland's offense to just 3 hits. Catron comes in, gives up the RBI double to Peyton Castello. That's how we got evened up at 1 apiece. Catron, who had the leadoff home run for DC. As Thomas Luck, pinch hitting, has made a couple of good plays in right field. The kid known as Chatterbox. I love some of these nicknames. These are really great nicknames to have.
Yeah, chatterbox, that's when you had the sleepovers with the kids and the kid would talk all night and you never be able to get to sleep. So hopefully he wasn't too much of a chatterbox last night.
Did you ever have a teammate like that in your baseball career that you basically just said, shut up, man, in the dugout?
I was a little too nice to say that. I just walked away.
Yeah, so you did the smart play. So a 1-2 count to Luck. And swung on and missed, and the second batter for DC retired by way of the K as McManus on point in a relief appearance.
Yeah, both managers right now got to be extremely pleased with how the ball clubs have responded and played in this elimination game. They're both getting great pitching and making the plays behind them, and all having competitive at-bats.
So that'll bring up Jack Saig, part of this mandatory play rule. Depending on the number of players you have on your roster, either batting at least once or having to bat once at least, along with 6 consecutive defensive outs. That one missing high, and McManus falls ahead in the count 2-0.
It's a lot to juggle, you know, as far as you got a big pressure game, and they also have to take that in consideration. So there's a lot on their plate right now.
Saig fouls that one away. You add in the mandatory play, the pitch count, special pinch runners. I mean, there's a lot to juggle if you're a manager. 2-1 pitch to Saig. This one lofted high and deep, and that one is gone. A solo home run, and DC back in front on the solo shot by Jack Saig.
This right here is giving me some goosebumps. Big situation, gets a pitch he could drive out of the park. You see him round the bases. The energy, the emotion these kids have right now for this game.
In a pinch hit spot, his teammates loving it in the dugout, and I'll tell you, from his reaction, Darren, it looked like he just hit the walk-off home run to win the World Series.
That is his walk-off home run right now. Up to this point, it's got to be the biggest hit of his life.
So Jack Saig with the solo home run has put DC out in front. The second home run of the day for the boys from DC. As Brock Alford now steps to the plate with 2 outs. What does a home run like that do if you're a teammate? Comes back into the dugout, that type of reaction.
I mean, as the game gets closer towards the end, obviously it gets you get a little tighter, you know, because you're getting closer at the end. So when a guy hits a home run like that and you take a lead, it kind of just takes pressure off you. You're all sitting around waiting for that big hit. Here it is. It came. Now let's go out, relax, have some fun.
What a moment for that young man to put DC in front, potentially keeping their season alive and the hopes to Williamsport alive. 2-1 offering to Brocco Taco. I can only do it in Van Pelt's way when he talks to Kirchen. Using that Maryland accent. 3-1 to Alford. He's able to draw a 2-out walk, and DC, after the home run, has now another base runner looking for some more insurance.
Yeah, you know, it's a pitcher, the big thing, solo shots won't hurt you. It's only 1 run, but how are you going to respond to the home run? You know, 3-1 pitch right there, walk the guy. So maybe now it's time to go out there, settle your pitcher down, say, look, it's okay. And here he comes now. Look, it's okay. You know, home runs, 2-1 game. You got 2 outs. Let's get back on track.
You good? Hey, let's work it down. Work it down. All right. Can't leave it in the hand. Come on. Hey, get this one. All right, you good? Yeah. All right. Hey, have fun.
So manager Tim Castello coming out trying to ease the pressure for his pitcher in McManus, who gave up the go-ahead home run to Jack Saig. And now Andrew Catron comes to the plate. Led off the game Sunday with a home run, led off the game today with a home run as well. And this could be a prime spot for DC to try to add to their 2-1 lead.
Yeah, and I like the advice he got. You know, here you got a kid who went deep. Keep the ball down. Don't give in to him. Just don't lay it in there. Keep it down. Even if you walk him, it's not a big deal. You get the next guy, but be careful with this guy.
Nearly out of the reach, the first baseman. And able to survive and get out of the inning is Maryland, but Not before Jack Saig unloads with the go-ahead pitch hit solo home run. Could potentially get DC back in the driver's seat. John Brickley, Darren Bragg back with you. An elimination game that started off for DC with Andrew Catron's leadoff home run. Then the controversy, Darren, that came in the third as McManus struck out, was in the back. Was originally called safe. Instead, it was a violation. The RBI double by Castello, able to tie this up at 1. And then just an inning ago, Jack Saig probably hit the biggest home run of his life in a pinch hit spot, a solo home run to put DC up 2-1. A winner today, advancing in this Mid-Atlantic region. The loser season coming to an end, but it has been a back-and-forth battle between two teams in Beltway.
Yeah, it's been impressive to watch kids of this age going on in a big game like this and executing. I mean, you're seeing big hits, you're seeing great defense, great pitching, you're seeing everything in this game right now.
Logan Szymanski, 1 for 2 with a single to lead things off here in the top half of the 5th inning. 6-inning game, mandatory playing rule, part of the division at a glance in this modified double elimination tournament, as Catron back to work after taking over for Chris Burke, or Thomas Burke I should say, is Burke. 3 hits allowed in his start. Overcast skies when we got to the ballpark this morning, Darren. Finally, the sun at times coming through here to Breen Field. Rain yesterday was a factor. DC, who lost in the opening round to New Jersey 16-6. And yet, Darren, we talk about bounce back performances. This is a DC team today. Nothing like what we saw on Sunday.
Right, and they have to come back here in this game. Right now, they're trying to get a leadoff man on. They lost the lead, or it was tied. Now they're down. Key is trying to get this leadoff man on.
Swung on and missed by Szymanski. Oh, and now the camera lens once again got hit. I was wondering why Catron was running around celebrating. But that is the 3rd straight day that we have seen the camera lens broken here at Bristol. I have never seen anything like this before, ever. Look at Catron. That might be even better than breaking the camera lens. Him just walking around, putting his hands up in celebration.
With that kind of excitement, you might have think you had a prop bet in Vegas with that one.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that is the 3rd straight day that has happened. Yesterday it was off a foul pitch. But look at Catron, looks like he's just won the World Series for his team. I mean, as much as I'm impressed by the fact that the camera lens has been broken now a 3rd straight day. Look at Catron, he looks like Max Scherzer.
I think that's why I'm happy I have 3 girls, because the boys like destruction.
I mean, I give incredible credit to our hardworking ESPN crew here at the Giamatti Center, because our cameramen have been putting it on the line every day this week. All right, so while they work their way through the 3rd straight day of a camera lens being shattered, let's take a look at the bracket for the Mid-Atlantic. So Maryland and DC in elimination game today. In the 4 o'clock hour, Delaware and New York. One of those 2 teams will continue their pursuit to a spot to Williamsport. But then in the winner's bracket on Wednesday, both teams who have a day off today, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, will battle it out in one half of the semifinals. And just from that perspective, New Jersey, a team that's just been able to put it a tier above everyone else. Back-to-back games where they put up at least 9+ runs. Pennsylvania coming out with a 4-3 win to begin things, followed up with the 10-5 win last night over Maryland. Here's a look at the rest of the quadruple header that we have today on ESPN3. Vermont and Massachusetts coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, followed by Delaware and New York. We saw New York yesterday, and Rhode Island and Maine to cap things off in the 7 o'clock hour, as they continue to clean up the debris left behind by the foul tip. And while they do that, we will step aside momentarily. Top of the 5th. And we'll actually keep it here as we are ready to go back to action. The 3-2 pitch, grounded to third. Hartman in front of it, can't make a play. And so the leadoff man for Maryland is on board to begin the top of the 5th.
Now batting number 35, DJ Shipton.
So Ricky Davenport-Thomas coming out, potentially another pitching change for DC.
And the man on first went to third. So what's it stay here? 3? Bunt 3?
No.
What bunt one? On bunt 3 do you stay?
Yes, he reads it.
Bunt 3 you
He reads it.
Okay, I need you to stay. You come, you go to first, you go to second, you go to third. Okay? All right, stay low. Sorry, thank you. Thank you.
Strategy in place for DC with the tying run on first. And DJ Shipton, the catcher.
Yeah, nice job by the manager, because earlier in the game they had the same situation come up. He bunted it down third baseline and they were able to get to third base on the play, so they're prepared for this now.
The first pitch by Catron to DJ Shipton, missing high. You know, Shipton's a ladies' man.
It's nice to be a ladies' man this young.
Let me tell you, and now that he's on national television, watch out.
And girls like the long ball too, so we'll see what he can do here.
So Shipton a chance to help break through for Maryland, down 2-1 after Seg with the pinch hit solo home run in the 4th inning. Missing high is Catron. And that one just paints the outside corner and evens up the count at 2-2. Catron, who's had the home run power, a couple of home runs in this tournament, both leadoff home runs. And now timeout has been called. If you're Maryland here, Darren, how aggressive do you have to be? Because it's not a sizable deficit. It's only a 1-run game. You do have the tying run at first. And still nobody out. But how aggressive do you have to be?
I think you're really aggressive. You want to be intelligent, but you want to be aggressive, so you want to go over the situation. If the play presents itself, you better be ready to take that extra base as a base runner.
That one fouled away and remains 2-2.
You want to keep the pressure on the team, even though they have the lead. You want to put pressure on them to make plays.
And now the grounder to third, the force out at second in time. Nice play, I should say, by Hartman to get the force out. Shipton on to first. As we take another look at that great defensive play by Hartman.
Yeah, nice play by Hartman from his knees. Made a nice strong throw to second. And a great job by the second baseman, knowing he had no chance to turn that double play. He turns himself into a first baseman there to make sure he can get that extra bit of length, almost like a stretch, and get the runner out at second. You know, sometimes as a middle infielder, you're always thinking two. A play like that comes, and if you're trying to turn 2 on there, he's probably safe at second. So great job by the second baseman.
So now the home plate umpire, Anthony Buzzle, after conversing with Tim Costello, the manager for Maryland, they want to double check on the force out as to whether or not the foot was on the bag. Terrence Mercer, the second base umpire out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and now we'll have a video replay. Again, another challenge opportunity that we only see on the regional level as well as the televised World Series. With it being under review, the call originally out at second base, and the question is, did Alfred get his foot down?
Yeah, it looks like he's out, and that's what I'm talking about. See how he almost looks like a first baseman there fielding that throw, so he's able to get to that throw before the foot gets to the bag. So these little details at the end of the day in these close games are most of the time the difference whether you win or lose.
Now this should be pretty quick, pretty direct for our video replay crew. And in a situation where we talk about challenges, when you have unlimited challenges based on how successful you are, the moment you have 2 unsuccessful challenges, then you're done. And in a situation like this, it's a little bit puzzling to see with the angle that Costello has being at third base, why he would want to challenge this call.
Well, he feels like probably he's got 2 in the bag, you know, so even if he gets this one wrong, he's got one more opportunity.
And Anthony Buzzle making the call. As it stands, out at second, the first out. As play resumes with the number 3 hitter in the lineup for Maryland, Josh Skoronski, the third baseman, who started off in a situation where Maryland couldn't capitalize in the first inning, the only switch hitter in the Mid-Atlantic region tournament, and takes a called strike. Always wants to be competitive, likes the angle of this type of tournament. We talked about adapting into this scenario where you play on a field that you normally don't play on in a situation you're not familiar with. Thurmont has never made it to the Little League World Series, as this one grounded into right field for a base hit. And Maryland is threatening in this 5th inning with 2 on and 1 out. And the heart of the lineup with Joey McManus set to come to the plate.
Well, there was a competitive at-bat in a competitive situation. Big hit right there, getting the guy in scoring position. Try to tie this ball game up right now.
Maryland today 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position, but a chance to tie this one up or potentially take the lead. As McManus looking for his first base hit. Started this game at first base, took over for E.J. Lowry on the mound. And if you're McManus, Darren, in this position, we know how aggressive he needs to be and how patient he should be, but what's the best approach to take in a situation like this?
Guys in scoring position, you're looking first pitch, fastball. If he throws you a breaking ball or anything, you can lay off it. But right now, if he throws you a fastball in the zone, you go after it.
That one missing high by Catron. McManus always smiling in a situation now where if he could deliver a base hit to tie this game up, would no doubt be smiling ear to ear. And he takes one inside, high and tight. And Catron hit him, so the bases will be loaded now with 1 out.
High and tight, up and in. Brushed them off the shoulder. Impressive how tough these kids are. It's like they don't even feel it. Ran to first base like it didn't even hit him. He's rubbing a little bit now. Now he's feeling it. That adrenaline will do amazing things for you.
Pinch hitter Donovan Baker in a tough spot, 1 out, and the base is loaded. As Catron fires it in there for a first called strike.
What a situation to come in off the bench. Bases loaded.
Wow, almost got him again. That would have tied it up at 2. Catron going with the high heat, and Baker falls behind 1 and 2. Yeah, you can only imagine on the major league level having to pinch hit in a situation where it's an elimination game, your team is down and the bases are loaded. But I can only imagine the pressure these guys are feeling on the Little League level.
Right. I'm nervous just watching it. I can't even imagine being in the box right now.
Baker has been able to battle back to even up the count at 2 and 2. 32 pitches now thrown by Catron. That one in there for a called third strike. The punch out for Catron. A big second out. As Will Gisriel now steps to the plate with 2 outs and the base is loaded. You like the matchup here with Catron and Gisriel. Matchup of power. Trying to work it inside. Catron's been trying to work the inside part of the plate to no avail, at least to this point.
Yeah, he's got a hard fastball, so he's trying to get in on these hitters so they can't get their hands extended.
Base hit his first time up. Gisriel makes a called strike. Even up the count at 1 and 1.
And being so tall out there, it's got to feel like he's right on top of these hitters. It's almost like he can reach out and place the ball where he wants with his kind of height.
That one nearly gets away from Eaton, the catcher. Nice job to maintain the presence behind the plate to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, these little things, you know, that could have been a wild pitch pass ball. Great job by the catcher keeping that runner at third late in the game.
Gisriel off the leg of Catron. Hartman doesn't have a play at third. Shipton able to score to tie this game up at 2 as Catron goes down. And you could tell off that base hit that it got him good in the leg.
Yeah, basically no time whatsoever to get that glove up. These close distances and how hard these guys hit the ball as a pitcher, you know, that's always a scary moment for you. You don't really have time to get into a fielding position.
Catron able to walk up on his own power, being looked at by the training staff here at the Giamatti Center. And that's actually, if you think about it, a lucky break for DC. That was such a hot shot by Gisriel. That could have gone right into center field, and potentially the go-ahead score could have come around third. And instead, it ties up the game at 2.
Yeah, big 2-out hit. You know, 2-out RBI. Here's guys in scoring position. I think it's their first hit of the day, second hit of the day with guys in scoring position.
So Ricky Davenport Thomas potentially thinking about making a pitching change. And that is what he's going to do, as Catron will be pulled from the game. Maryland tying it up at 2 in this elimination game in the Battle of the Beltway, as we're back to Bristol at the Giamatti Center in just a moment. Beginning in January of 2018, Little League will join other youth baseball organizations in adopting USA Baseball's new USA Bat Standard. For more information on how this new youth standard will impact Little League, visit littleleague.org/batinfo. Elimination game for Maryland and DC, as Miles Huff will be the new pitcher. Jack Saig now moves to center field. And as we take a look at how Andrew Catron had to exit this game just before the break, Gisriel was the batter for Maryland with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And check this out. The hot shot that ricochets off Catron's leg, had that not ricocheted off his leg, Darren, potentially Maryland could have taken the lead.
Yeah, lucky break there. And it usually comes down to that. When these how well these guys are playing is sometimes it's that ground ball just out of the reach of a guy's glove, or that break here now that ends up being a big difference in the game.
Catron now moves over to first base. A nice sign after he was hit by that pitch, was able to walk off on his own power. But you can tell there was some visible frustration. We saw that yesterday for New York. Tyler Stern being hit. Wanted to be back in the game, could not. So Maryland still threatening, bases loaded, 2 outs. As Puval making his second plate appearance.
Yes, so far today, both teams have been able to stay away from the big inning. So right now, they've scored a run. Miles' job here is to keep it there, get the team back in the dugout, and go to work.
That one in there for a called strike to even up the count at 1-1. Burke started this game, allowed just 3 hits in his outing. Catron followed in a solid relief appearance. And now Miles Huh, the third pitcher used by Washington. That one just missing high as Puval goes ahead in the count 2-1. In these elimination games, it is vital when you have runners in scoring position to capitalize when you can. Missing once again high, and it's 3-1.
Nice little talk going out there by the catcher. You know, a lot of times you want your catcher to be almost that manager or coach on the field. So he's recognized the moment, settle his pitcher down, talk to him, come back out. Great job for a young kid out there to recognize that.
And in a situation where Eaton was the starter on Sunday, he knows the emotions that Han's going through. As that one misses high, and the go-ahead run comes in to score to make it a 3-2 lead for Maryland. As Skoronski touches home, and Maryland has put up 2 in this 5th inning. Making a 1-run advantage. Having that quick turnaround from last night's game against Pennsylvania. As Castiello, the number 8 hitter, with a chance to get a much-needed insurance run with the bases loaded and 2 outs. 0-1 pitch misses low.
Yeah, his last AB had the big hit to tie the game on that 2-strike approach, driving the ball to left field. So, you know, when you start getting hits early in the game, you come back in a situation like this, your confidence is high.
That one again misses low, so a little bit of a control issue problem now for Miles Huh. As Castiello, as you mentioned, Darren, with the RBI double that tied it up. Two-one pitch by Huh, way off the mark. And if Huh's not careful, another walk surrender brings home the 4th run for Maryland.
Yeah, the situation he came into because of the pitcher exiting, because he got hit in a tough situation to come into in this kind of game.
10th pitch for Huh, and that is the 8th ball thrown by the right-hander, and back-to-back walks surrender another run, as this time McManus touches home plate, and it's a 4-2 lead for Maryland. It just seems, Darren, that in all of these games that we have seen so far, there has been one consistent theme, and that is there's always one inning where one team is able to capitalize and put up some big runs.
Yeah, exactly. So up to this point, they've all been able to manage that. Miles has come in here in a tough situation and has walked the first 2 batters. So now you're looking at that inning where they start putting up what we call a crooked number. Anything besides a 1 is a crooked number. They got a 3 spot up there right now.
Braden Bell in the number 9 spot, and he is ahead in the count 2-0. Ten balls, 12 pitches thrown. In terms of pitching eligibility, let's not forget, as that one just as foul. You have to think about it, the fact that Ricky Davenport Thomas, the manager for DC, may just not have enough capable arms. I mean, you can't use Elliott Eaton after what he did on Sunday because of the rest requirements. So Hum may be in a situation where he has to go longer and has to battle through these struggles.
Yeah, and even a situation where Coach Ricky might have thought, okay, we got one guy for 3, the next guy for 3. So a move that was kind of unexpected, you know, because of the line drive back up the box. Now all of a sudden someone's pitching who maybe not even expected to pitch in this game.
He does have 14 players on the roster. As 3-1, and now 3 straight walks, and another run comes across, make it now a 5-2 lead for Maryland. And that'll bring out Coach Thomas and potentially pulling here after he surrenders 3 straight walks.
Go. Relax. No, you're going to center field. Because you're going, hey, because you're playing a game. Come on, you're good.
Well, you can see the frustration on the face of Miles Came into a tough situation, and Maryland has been able to capitalize. 5-2, looking for some more with the bases loaded, as we're back to Bristol in a moment. All right, so a 5-2 lead for Maryland with 2 outs in the top half of the 5th. Meanwhile, coming up on Sunday, a Little League World Series Classic.
Miles moves to third base.
Hi, my name is Randall Gritchick.
Randall Gritchick at the plate. Goodbye! Home run!
He's just adding that memory bank right there. That's something special. He must really feel like he's on top of the world coming back here playing.
It's a game that can take you all over the world, and the fun that you're having now as a kid, you're still going to be having it when you're my age. From hitting my first home run to hanging out with your friends all the time, it was always fun.
So August 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Cardinals and the Pirates in a Little League Classic. So Maryland with a 5-2 lead, looking for more with the bases loaded. As Masek will be the new pitcher. The 10th batter of the inning for Maryland.
At bat, number 17, Logan Szymanski.
As Szymanski leading things off, the shortstop. Behind in the count, 0-1. That one nearly gets past Eaton. Nice job by the catcher to prevent a run from scoring. So Maryland trailed in this game early off the leadoff home run by Catron. And that breaking ball missing low at the knees. That one sent to straightaway center field. On it and making the great catch to end the inning and the threat for Maryland, but not before 4 runs come across for Maryland. One more look at that web gem by Seg. He's got a pinch hit home run, and why not showcase the leather as well. Great catch in center field. Darren Bragg smiling. Great environment at the Giamatti Center in Bristol, Connecticut for this elimination game for Maryland and DC. Maryland putting up 4 runs in the top half of the fifth inning, I should say, making a 5-2 lead. And now Elliott Eaton to begin the bottom half of the 5th. Darren, if you're Washington here, how do you rebound after a tough inning like that?
Yeah, well, I think after putting up 4 runs, you want to take some pitches. You know, settle in a little bit. You know, make the guy work. He had a long layoff with those 4 runs, so see if the pitcher's still on track.
0 for 2 is Eaton today. Cut on and missed, and quickly behind in the count, 0-2. And on the flip side, if you're McManus, you've been battling through in a relief appearance, and now all of a sudden, the psyche has to change with a 3-run advantage.
Yeah, definitely. So you just scored 4 runs. Your job as a pitcher is to come out there and put a goose egg up for that team. So you're just trying to shut them down quickly, get back in the dugout, and try to keep that momentum. That
one getting away from McManus to even up the count at 2-2. Again, the winner of this game continues on in the pursuit to Williamsport. Whoever falls in this game, their season unfortunately will come to an end. As the 2-2 pitch, Eaton, the chopper back to the mound. Easy play for McManus, and there is one away.
Now batting number 20, the third baseman.
So Miles Huh, who now has moved over to third base, came in that relief appearance, struggled, surrendering 3 straight walks to give up the lead, as Huh takes a first pitch strike.
He came into a situation that the pitcher left because of an injury, so the mindset of him, he probably wasn't ready. You know, and then these kids come in off the field, they warm up on the pitcher mound, so a very difficult task for him to come in with the bases loaded like that.
Pitch by McManus, missing high, falls behind in the count, 2-1. One of 4 games today, DC and Maryland. New Jersey and Pennsylvania have already made it to one half of the semifinal bracket. And one of the great features here, Darren, in both the New England and the Mid-Atlantic region is the Giamatti Center. They do a great job of hosting this event year in and year out. Dormitories for the players, families as well, dining and kitchen facilities, batting cages, practice facilities, top notch as Hug goes down with the strikeout, and there are 2 away. And you really get the sense by these kids that they feel like they're professional baseball players with the way that this event is put together, and it's a great event each year.
Yeah, anytime you actually see in center field the ESPN banner, kind of steps it up a notch right there alone. So they do a great job here, and most of the time these kids, their memories are going to be with stuff that happens off the field, how they were taken care of, how they were treated, you know, the times they had when they weren't playing the baseball game. Those are some lasting memories too.
Cut on and missed by Hartman, who has made some good defensive efforts at third base today for DC. And going back to one of the talking points that we had been discussing throughout the day has been the difference in this DC team. They looked a little bit stunned, maybe out of place in that first game on Sunday against New Jersey. And yet today you can see a battle-tested team that has converted when need be, albeit they trail, I should say, by 3 runs. Nonetheless, you certainly have to be impressed with the competitiveness.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, those 2 games they won to get here, they were down late. Once in the 5th they were down, and the other one in the 6th they were down. They came back to win.
Three-two pitch. Back to the mound, McManus with the putout. Maryland up 5-2 at the end of 5 here in Bristol. John Brickley, Darren Bragg with you, and it's been a fifth inning of just absolute bizarreness. Started with Andrew Catron with the foul tip back to the lens, shattering the camera lens for the third time. The shot that went off the leg of Catron, Miles Hall then came in of relief and gave up 3 straight walks, surrendering 3 runs to Maryland. That was part of a 4-run fifth inning. And as it stands, 5-2 Maryland in front as we head now to the top half of the 6th inning. And since that broken camera glass that was shattered, Maryland's offense has put up 4 runs, 2 hits, and 4 walks.
Yeah, the shattered glass, you know, just a kind of little thing that happened in the inning, kind of little momentum. They jumped it on it and got the momentum after that glass and took advantage.
That's like you as a player in your day shattering a baseball. Like, that's almost like the same bragging rights. Like, if I'm Catron, I go to school first day, I'm like, hey, my pitch shattered glass.
Yeah,
a heads up.
They love the destruction.
All right, so Maryland looking to pad their lead up by 3. Masek back to work for another inning on the mound for DC. That one sent to left field, and a beautiful catch. Oh my goodness. Finnery coming up with a web gem in left. Looked to have misplayed it momentarily, but came back and made a sensational grab.
Little tip of the cap there at the end with the play. Nice job going back and getting a leap. Full extension, coming down with the catch.
And look who's there celebrating. Sag right there, who the previous inning made a great catch to end the inning for DC. So a couple of web gems out in left and center field for this Washington DC team. And there's 1 out away in the top half of the 6th inning.
DC's defense has actually been stellar the whole game. You know, they've made the plays behind the pitcher. You had that one inning where there was a few walks, but you can't defense a walk. So other than that, their defense has been on par.
Skoronski there for the base hit that gets him on with 1 out. You have played with the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox over your 11-year career in the majors, and the one thing I guarantee you every Red Sox fan, even with the World Series they've won now, will always tell you, never count outs. McManus unloading. See you later. And Maryland has broken it open here in the top half of the 6th inning on the 2-run shot by the pitcher, Joey McManus.
Well, stay behind the baseball. Nice extension. No doubter. Watching it. Smiling. Having fun.
I don't recall, Darren, and this is the 2nd year that you and I have been working together, I don't recall a tournament, whether it be in the New England or the Mid-Atlantic, where we have seen so many home runs.
So many home runs, and deep, far, big drives, no doubt home runs.
I mean, that was gone as soon as it hit the bat.
Big 2 insurance runs right there. Now it makes it a 5-run lead. You know, you try to stay away as a team. You always want to build that lead where it's 5-6 runs, so 1 swing in the bat, and you're still all right. So if it's a 4-run lead, you got the base loaded, 1 swing in the bat, you're tied. Right now, 5-run lead, looking to add.
First pitch swinging is Lowry, skies it high to second as Alper there for the play, and the 2nd out is retired. And with how good McManus has been on the mound, I mean, if you're Maryland, you're feeling comfortable. McManus, after that 2-run shot, think about this on the mound, Darren. He's had 2 hits allowed on just 1 run, 4 strikeouts, and 3 2/3.
Yeah, he's done a great job up to this point, but what DC has in their favor is those are the toughest 3 outs to get, or the last 3 outs of the game, so they're going to have to make them work.
And we have seen so far in this tournament the capability of being able to rally in a 6th inning.
Yeah, 5 runs right now is nothing for a team like this. They've done it before. They could do it again. They just got to keep them here.
Israel with the grounder that gets in the left for the base hit. So the runner reaches with 2 outs as Maryland put up 1 run in the 4th, 4 more in the 5th, and now 2 here in the 6th inning. And now we have a pinch hitter. Braden Manning back in the game, started this game out at second base, and has been brought in this pinch hit situation. That one in there for a called strike, and behind the count is Manning, down 0-2. That one set into foul territory. A run on it is the first baseman. Can't make the play, Catron. And staying alive is Manning. Catron, who led this game off for DC with a home run, has 2 in this tournament. Again, the 0-2 pitch by Masek. Chopper, that it goes foul. Maryland, in terms of Thurmont representing the state, has never made it to the Little League World Series. And in this elimination game coming up with an offensive surge, and I think what's more impressive, Darren, more so than anything else, is the fact that they played late last night against Pennsylvania and come around, trail early, and yet continue to battle back.
Yeah, and you know, they've gotten on track. It took them a few innings to get on track, but now they've gotten on track, scored some run, and a great at-bat going on right here, following off some tough pitches, 0-2, working it a little bit here, competitive at-bat.
This one sent to shallow right field, luck on it, makes the catch that ends the inning. But not before the damage has been done by Maryland, as Joey McManus going home run derby here in Bristol as DC down to their final 3 outs. Maryland scoring the last 3 innings, put up 1 run in the 4th, 4 more in the 5th, and 2 in the 6th to lead it 7-2 as DC down to their final 3 outs in this elimination game in the Mid-Atlantic region. As you take a look at beautiful Giamatti Center in Bristol, Connecticut, Breen Field, the host of this tournament since 2001.
Caleb Grimm for
Caleb Grimm to start things off. And if you're DC down by 5, what's the mentality as you approach this final inning?
Well, first of all, you have a new pitcher on the mound, so you don't know how he's going to settle into this game. So right away you say to yourself, right, new pitcher, let's see what he's got. So as your leadoff hitter coming in, you just want to try to get on base any way you can. And then as the next batters come up, that's your job, just to get on base. And then once you get that tying run to the plate, now you can maybe expand a little bit. Now you're looking to drive the ball. Now you're looking to hit a ball out of the park. But until you get that tying run to the plate, your job is to get on base.
Braden Manning, the 3rd pitcher for Maryland, as Grimm chops that one foul. Stays alive at 1-2. I always remember talking to coaches, players. If you get the leadoff man on to the beginning inning, all of a sudden it's like flipping the script. The mentality changes.
Yeah, exactly. It's confidence, it's momentum, it's contagious. One guy gets on, the next guy gets on, the next guy on. Your job as the pitcher is to keep those guys off the bases. So once you start getting guys on base, you start feeling like, okay, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do this. And the more and more they get on base, the more and more you feel you can get it done.
Chopper to short, over the middle, and a nice put out by Szymanski, and there is 1 away.
Nice job by Szymanski, you know, working his angle to get around the baseball on that so he can get his feet to make a strong throw to first.
So now Will Coopersmith, number 3 for Washington, D.C., steps into the batter's box. Again, going back to that mentality issue, your leadoff man gets on. Psychologically, it's much different than if the first batter that gets up, as we saw, grounds out and already there's 1 out.
Yeah, a ground out on an actual tough play where you thought maybe he had a chance to beat it out, so it kind of deflates you a little bit. But at the end of the day, you got to say, okay, let's go. Let's get this going with 1 out.
So Coopersmith trying to get on board as DC in this elimination game down by 5 runs as that one off the mark by Manning. Trails in the count 2-1.
You just got to believe that although there's a lot of pressure on these hitters to get on base, there's just as much pressure on this pitcher to throw strikes and get you out.
Great play by the infield as Szymanski once again on the play. The shortstop for Maryland with the first 2 putouts of this inning. And now DC is down to their final chance with Luck ironically coming to the plate.
And as a pitcher, you're happier than anything when they're hitting it to probably your best player out there, your shortstop. When the hitters are hitting it to your shortstop, he's making the plays behind you.
Luck, first pitch swinging, sends that one to left, but right to the left fielder, Gisriel, and that will end it. Maryland continues on the pursuit, the road to Williamsport with their victory today, knocking off DC by a final of 7-2. Joey McManus with a 2-run home run in the 6th inning, capping off a brilliant pitching performance in relief for this Maryland team as they advance in this tournament. Still to come, we've got much more action in the New England Regional as our score once again, Maryland with a 7-2 win over DC. For my partner Darren Bragg, our entire hardworking ESPN crew, I'm John Brickley saying so long from Bristol, Connecticut. Maryland keeping their hopes alive for a run to Williamsport as we'll be back in the 1 o'clock hour here from Bristol.